Welcome back to Project Independence and You here at Community Talk Radio, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, your host for today, along with our co-host Otto Los and radio show producer extraordinaire, Kristina Liu. And of course, thanks to Dan Cox, who is the director of WCWP.org, bringing this show to you. So we just were speaking with George Martinez. Kristina, he's so amazing. I mean, the information and this RoboPet, I just know you're like, you probably put an order in for one for your mother. I don't know.
No, it was so wonderful, and once again, we literally, it's nice to be able to say this every show, but the guests that we have on are so invested in, their job. And you could tell that with George, even, he shared some personal tidbits about his life. So this is, working with seniors and is really something he's clearly passionate about. And I think, we've been talking about this RoboPets topic since the pandemic. It was a hot topic between Otto and myself a lot, because you kept seeing it really pop up during, COVID. And a couple of weeks back, we had on the Town of North Hempstead animal shelter, and they were talking, about how really a lot of people were adopting pets as well during that time. So I wanted to kind of give, both sides of, the companionship thing, because I think it's nice, obviously on paper you see RoboPet and you're like, how could this be doing the same thing as, an actual live pet? But it's nice to see that, it can, especially for people who, have different ailments and whatnot, that they can't take care of an actual pet. So
some people just can't take care of an
it's hard
pet because they're going to hurt themselves, fall over them, or they just can't do it. So this is a good substitution. It's is it is it perfect for everyone? No, but there will be some people who will be quite happy with it.
No, and I've seen, for such a long time, with Alzheimer's patients, the benefits of this are so great. So it's nice to, it's interesting to see. And I'm sure as technology, evolves, so will this too. So it was just, I'm glad we kind of got a little clued into that. And I want to remind people that if you know someone that might be interested in this or any other kind of service that the county provides for seniors, you can call 516-227-8900. They open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can call them and get some good information if you need. So,
and one other thought, I mean, you've probably discussed this before too, is, you never have to experience, I guess, theoretically loss of the pet.
Right.
Maybe you upgrade, I don't know, it's the, or that kind of memory that the RoboPet seems to get as they kind of become more familiar with you and your habits and they respond to those, then they maybe could put that brain in another one that can do more stuff. I don't know. But you really don't have to, I guess, experience losing.
They don't die. You just replace the battery.
Right.
Yeah, it's like replacing a kid's like goldfish. Like, no, it's the same goldfish. It's fine.
Same thing. Right.
But no, it's really, I think that's important back because, I always say with my husband, because Jay, of course, always wants a dog. And I'm not, I love my brother's dog who lived with us. I was very attached to, but I'm like, I'm very selective with my my animal liking. But I said to him, I couldn't bear the thought, when we lost our cats that we had, it was just so upsetting. We had them, and it was just, so that's a great point you have, because I was like, I can't even imagine having to like go through that again. So it's definitely something I think that is great, especially for a senior that's already alone and has been through so much loss to begin with. That's a great point that they could, that could be the case. So very interesting, very great segment.
Very interesting.
And it's nice to have the partnership between the county and North Hempstead in recent times has been really wonderful. So,
one of the comments he made was about his staff and about how dedicated they are. And I think that's an image that a lot of people have that they really have to shake. Like his department and Project Independence, who I've had enough exposure to, are beautiful examples of where government does things in a positive way. Not all government is negative, and both of those organizations, Project Independence and the and the one that George is responsible for are beautiful examples of government doing positive things to help people.
No, you're
It's
right.
not all
And
negative.
that's something that I think really, we always knew how fabulous we were, but but I think during this COVID time, you really saw like what a lifeline essentially, programs like this became for seniors who, there was so much, you didn't know what information was going on, and how to get it and what kind of services to get. Everyone was kind of in this state of panic. So it became really something even more so, you needed it to kind of get the information. And I think, when he shared also, George, like what Project Independence did with calling, different seniors and maintaining that connection, and I think that was so important and got people through, a crazy time of lockdown, that none of us kind of expected. So it's certainly wonderful. That's a great point, Otto, because I think there always is that misconception and kind of weariness about, certain government things. And sometimes some government things give other, a bad name. But I have to say, with these local governments, I think are shining examples of really being able to help the people, and especially seniors.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I know government in some ways has a bad name. I mean, we do collect taxes. You have to,
Right.
we have departments that, have highway and have to close things off. And, I think that overall government are mean well. And it's funny because I was thinking when George said he thanked his staff, Otto, it's like even when we were speaking with Laura Curran a few shows
Mhm.
ago, and we were, just kind of giving kudos to her and, to her, what's happening through COVID and divisiveness and then coming back. And she was like, hey, it's not just me. I mean, and it really was
Yeah.
like an awakening. It's true.
Yeah.
It's so nice to really acknowledge that there are people that are really like shining at their job. And, here we are representing our department. We look good. This is what we're doing. We're telling her, but we have a very small department now, very dedicated staff, incredible partnerships. And so, we're all able to be here and kind of want to say even brag about the program and the wonderful things, but it's not just Kristina or I or Otto. It's the whole team. It's the residents. I mean, we have great residents too here in North Hempstead. I mean, they're really, they're learning. I think so much of COVID too was a learning experience for everybody. We had to learn how our residents could get through this, and they had to kind of connect with us. And how do we stay connected? I'm bringing that word up a lot, but anyway.
No, but it's true though. But I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, that's the truth. What you're saying, it was certainly, and I think that always at Project Independence's core though, we always say it was all these, these three pieces of, the government officials, of course, our department and the residents, and then all of our partnerships, out there, so it all kind of forms this big interconnected puzzle. And I think that's how all of us, were able to get through this time together, and I mean, listen, I say it all the time on here with the radio program. It was great that we were getting great guests and giving great information, but it really, for my own self, served as kind of like a therapy. I was home, and kind of we were all venting and voicing and sharing our way of navigating this, crazy time, and I think that's what was so important in times like that, because unfortunately, what we see in the media are, these divisive things constantly, so it's really nice to see when everyone kind of comes together, whatever their differences may or may not be, to get through it. And that's how we did it. And I think all in all, we were able to have amazing guests on and continue. I mean, we're still doing this through Zoom. Who knows how long we'll be doing that. But the plus side, as Otto mentioned earlier, is, we're able to get guests on that really would be as hard to kind of fit into their schedule because of the commuting. And it's a safety feature too. We never know what's happening. So right now, this is the safest option for all of us. And I think it's really great that we have these amazing guests. I always find myself sitting here just captivated by what's being said and all the golden nuggets that are being shared. So it was another good one, another one for the books, guys.
Right.
You know,
And,
I'm sorry, but when you go on the town's website and you go to the Project Independence radio section and you look and you see there's 10 years worth of stories there. That's a lot. And,
Yeah.
and frankly, and frankly, impossible to listen to it all.
Mhm.
But you can search by topics that might be of interest, and hear stuff that's still relevant in most
Yeah.
cases, even though it was 10 years ago. There's a lot of good things been discussed with a lot of people who know what they're doing.
But there, it's a place obviously that we're able to showcase people that are doing great things in the community, especially, and even residents. I mean, those are some of my favorites, just the interesting resident who has lived such a colorful life, and explaining their kind of story and journey. And of course, our random, talks that we have, it's quite the variety of things you can get on topics and whatnot. And I hope to continue to do that. Obviously, we're going to be approaching our 10th year next month, which is crazy to think of. But I'm busy planning in my brain, of course, what is going to be the theme gift. You know what I mean?
So one more tidbit, Kristina, on staff. And I know that we talk about Kristina a lot and the wonderful show and how she pulls together every week this incredible guest roster, make sure the show has their hosts and it airs and works with WCWP.org and all that stuff that you do every single week. This is not Kristina's only job. This is just part of it. So it's kind of like you see Kristina and you know all the hard work and hours and time that goes into this radio show. But Kristina's also recently made the Director of Senior Citizen Affairs for the Department of Services for the Aging, where she has worked now for 12 years? Wait, how long? No.
I don't even know. I started interning in like 2009, 9, I believe. I can never keep track of how long I've been there. So it's been a long time.
So she has a ton of responsibility and is kind of, I want to say, I don't even know, she's the liaison, she's the producer of DOSA. She works with all the social workers and staffs, keeps everybody on track, feeds information to everybody. She is the editor, the pioneer newsletter couldn't be done without her. She's our direct connect with our communications department. So there's so many things that.
Well, Beth, that's why we had you co-host today for that very reason.
And it's just interesting because when he did bring up that whole staff element, it made me think.
Yeah, well, and that's what I also want to. And I know this is my time to thank our department because as Beck said, we are a department of very few people, at its core, yet we subcontract some social workers and nurses, but the town, DOSA itself is just a couple of people. And, everyone's so invested there and everyone wears a bazillion hats. As, Rebecca said wonderful things about me, and I could say the same about her. Miss Rebecca is on vacation today. And of course, as we know, John's been having some health stuff. So I called my friend. I said, I think you're on vacation. I'm not sure. And she said, no worries. I'll be there. And that's the mentality. And I think the overall slogan of our department, it's kind of a team thing and someone's always willing to pitch in. So it's an honor to work with a great group of people like that. So,
well, you know what? Let's take a break because you can't top that dedication, Kristina. We'll be right back with Project Independence in You on Community Talk Radio, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You. You've been listening to Project Independence in You on Community Talk Radio, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. And now we've been talking with Kristina Liu, the radio show producer, and Otto Los. It's the Talk of the Town segment, and we talk a lot about what's going on in the town and Project Independence. And It's also a bit of a therapy session for us, but we do like to provide information about what's going on in the town. So, Kristina, what is going on?
I obviously, there's a lot going on all the time. We're trying to plan for September, and we were laughing during the break because I said, we're planning. We'll put it in quotes because things, we never know what the heck is actually gonna happen. But in exciting news, we are planning our fall 2021 exercise program,
Yes.
and Rebecca is kind of our go-to head. That's one of her many responsibilities is the crazy exercise program, which is so intensive. And I know, Beck, you had mentioned earlier that, we've kind of had to adjust certain things for safety, and it's in order to do certain things, in person, you want to still keep people safe, but be able to do in person. So tell us a little bit about what the vision is for the fall 2021 exercise programs.
Sure. So, we didn't even think we were going to be able to come back in person because we just didn't know. But then everything happened so quickly when we can wear masks, we can't wear masks, what's good, who's vaccinated, who's not. So, so much went into considering whether or not we can go back to do in-person exercise. I mean, exercise is important, So we're coming back on a much reduced schedule than we normally would. I think prior to COVID, we had 17 classes a week. Residents were able to come to 3 classes. We had 5 or 6 different sites. We had room capacities in some instances that reached like 90, and others that were a little bit smaller. So, because of COVID and the protocol and being as safe as we can, we now really only are using 3 facilities that we found prior were able to hold, had a high capacity, but now it's much reduced. So, we can have a certain amount of people. They have to be 6 feet apart from each other while exercising. So at Clinton Martin Park and at the Port Washington Activity Center and at our Yes We Can Community Center, we will be hosting 9 classes each week. The class sizes in each facility will be much reduced. So where we were able to have, offer 3 classes per week, now it's 1. There is a registration process that's a lot stricter than it was in the past. People will be giving a confirmation number. The waiver is a must. We just have to make sure that everybody understands the risks, in addition to the inherent risks that you do have when you take an exercise class. So we have all of our previous instructors, plus we have a new instructor, Wendy, who will be teaching a fitness dance class as well. She did our Zoom class. So starting the week of September 20th, we will be starting the classes. You will call 311 to register. We've already filled up 3 classes. All of them are Margaret's class. She's a very popular instructor. So call, as soon as you can. There's a lot of other fitness classes and Tai Chi and yoga available. We just recommend that you call. Of course, things could change. So we're on a day-by-day, schedule. If something comes up and they say, we have to go back to, I don't know, a much reduced rate, only 10%, 50%, things could change. So, we just ask that people stay in touch with 311 or the town's website, if they hear something changes on the news, it's likely that we'll have to do some kind of safety protocol thing.
Right.
So other than that, we're
And there's
excited.
only 1 class you're allowed to take per participant.
Yes, you
So
can't
that's
because
something
it's not fair.
Right. And that's something we obviously have to stick with.
But
anything.
The thing is, you can only take 1 class. However, we will be airing continuously on North Hempstead television 7 days a week, all different fitness classes, yoga, Tai Chi. The weekdays, I believe there are 3 shows a day. And on the weekend, there's 1 or 2. Saturday and Sunday each have 1 or 2 classes, depending if they're airing something that might get pushed off. But if you're still not comfortable getting out, you can certainly tune into North Hempstead Television. If you're used to taking 3 classes a week in person, you can take the one class certainly, and
Right,
then
you can
maybe take a
supplement.
couple on television. So
No, that's so wonderful. And I have to say, I've seen, firsthand, obviously, all the work that Rebecca has put into planning this. And, as we said, unfortunately, it's constantly an evolving process because there's different information that comes out. So what I think our department has become really good at doing is changing things at a moment's notice. And I know that with the exercise program, Rebecca certainly does. And on top of coordinating everything, Rebecca also was providing her own yoga. Now, Beck, will you still be doing yoga on North Hempstead TV?
Yes. So I've been recording a few classes here and there. Thanks for pointing that out. And that'll be airing. I think there's a regular schedule. If anybody wants the North Hempstead schedule for the classes that are airing on, for Project Independence classes, just get in touch with us, and I do have a flyer that has all the classes, and I think 311 might. And if they don't, we can make sure that they have that schedule so people can go ahead and get that emailed or, get it in some
Yeah, and I
way.
just think it's such a wonderful, and we were talking earlier with North Hempstead TV, on top of people being hesitant regarding COVID and whatnot, for seniors who really just can't get out of the house under normal circumstances, or if you just feel more comfortable kind of exercising in your own little space, alone. I mean, that's a lot of people like to do too. And I think that that's what's so great about North Hempstead TV is that it kind of opened this world. And the fact that it airs so often, you have flexibility with the time as well, which I think is really cool.
What chance is it on YouTube as well?
Yes. YouTube
So
also
you
has
could
a
watch
playlist.
it basically whenever you want to
Anytime.
watch.
Absolutely.
So you can go to YouTube and get
Mhm.
Project Independence exercise.
Yeah, and if you have a smart TV with YouTube on it, you can just still watch it on your TV, So if you want like a big screen, which is nice. So there
You
is a
can run
playlist.
around your living room.
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want. But
I'm
I think
calculating in my head. So if I'm on and I'm 10 pounds, you look like you're 10 pounds heavier than you are. If you're on the big screen, what does that do? What is that? I prefer people would just watch me.
she is ridiculous.
Is that true that what you just said that you're 10 pounds heavier?
That's
look 10
what the go-to usually is. That's what they
Right.
usually
You look
say.
10 pounds heavier.
Really?
Yes.
I never heard that.
Come on, Otto. You're in show business. You should know.
I know,
I'm trying to gain
Otto.
some weight, I don't even have to work at it. I just go put the TV on.
I want to just tell everyone, so please, as Rebecca said, classes are filling up for this. We want everyone, as much people as possible, to kind of be able to take advantage of these great programs. So please call 869-6311 to reserve your spot. So exciting stuff. Hopefully we can keep all that going, which is nice. I just want to remind people, next week's show, we are have a repeat program, but we are back on September 10th with a live show, which is going to be very informative because we have 2 representatives coming on from FEMA who are going to talk about all different kind of preparedness, which everyone knows that we love preparedness talk on this show in all realms of preparedness. We are very big supporters of it because September is National Preparedness Month. So they're going to come on, give us information. They're absolutely wonderful, the 2 women that are coming on. And then September 17th, we're having on someone from the National Council on Aging who is going to discuss social isolation, staying independent, fall prevention awareness. It's going to be a whole little mix of things, which is really wonderful. And then, of course, on September 24th, we are coming to our 10th anniversary.
Unbelievable.
So mark your calendar. Supervisor Bosworth will join us. We'll have some surprise guests, some members of the team. It's going to be one big love fest, of course. So stay tuned for that. And then October, I am just plowing away, scheduling. I think I only have like 1 or 2 spots left for October.
Christina, do you know how many shows have aired individual?
Well, it's funny because every Friday we essentially air one, so sometimes if it's, repeat, so actual live ones, I'd have to look back and see, which honestly, a huge percent of that, it's very rare that we do a repeat show unless there was weather or in summer, just our schedule is a little different. But, and then I think back, we were just talking, you know, a lot of the shows that we do now, we have one guest for an hour, which has been great for this format because there's a lot of, you know, material to get through. But, you know, there's so many shows that we did that had multiple guests within the 2 hours. So God only knows how many guests. And it's really, and listen, I have to say, I'm not being biased, but these guests leave with a great, you know, they want to come back, which is.
Right. I'm going to say that between 40 and 45 a year that aren't, like rerun. So if you go by that, by 10 years, you're looking between 400 to 450 individual shows that you've produced.
Tired. I'm gonna go take a nap, guys. I'll be back.
How many hours is that?
Right. Well, two
it's 2 hours. Yeah, it's 2 hours every,
900 hours.
Sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot of time, but
900 hours, which is 20 weeks, 30 weeks, business weeks.
So we can run them back to back like a marathon, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dan, mark that down. Takeover, full takeover. If we haven't taken over enough.
Well, you
but
could do
all
that.
good stuff. And on top of, the exercise program for the fall, we're trying to figure out different ways. Hopefully a lot of our programs, we're kind of trying to figure out how to stream them. So we're in this kind of working out phase of all those things because there are a lot of people who still want to go back to all these different, this hybrid kind of thing. So we're trying to figure it all out.
Well, we have to take a break. You've been listening to Project Independence in You here at Community Talk Radio. This segment is Talk of the Town, and we've got 2 more Talk of the Town segments. So listen, and we will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Kristina Liu here, producer, who is now taking over as host. I'm here with the fabulous Otto. We've been chatting away for the past few segments, and a lot of great stuff going on, which is nice to promote over here, Otto. So before the break, we were talking about exercise and how that's kind of coming back to this hybrid way. And then a lot of our other programs, we're trying to, figure out a way to kind of work through those as well. So we're trying to plan after this. I have a meeting to discuss the flu shot program because we're going to hopefully be able to have some locations where we're able to get flu shots, because unfortunately all you hear about is COVID vaccines, and now it's time to talk about flu shots. So it is just another thing to add to the
And a
list of
booster.
things. Yeah, listen, please, I
Which
can't
we
even,
don't-
my head.
Honestly, I don't believe I know enough about it to say anything.
Yeah,
other
and
than-
I don't think anyone does at this point. So I do know that, the flu shot vaccine program is very important with Project Independence, so we are working on scheduling that as well. Last year, we also had, via phone calls, St. John's University has a great pharmaceutical program who we partner with for years now that talk to the seniors one-on-one about the correct Medicare Part D program to use. And they will bring, in the past when it was in person, they would bring their list of medications and they would go through it. But last year, obviously, we couldn't do that, but we knew how important the program is, that it was over the phone, and people really enjoyed it. They would talk on the phone and kind of break down their meds, and the pharmacist on the other end is typing in, and the amount of money that is saved is incredible. So we are in the planning stages of trying to figure that out as well. So we'll probably do it by phone again because it really was successful that way. So
I'm sorry, but talking medication, all right, I've had personal experience, and I'm not sponsoring anything. I'm just giving my personal experience where I've had my drug plan and I see on the Walgreens website that it's going to cost, I'll pick a number, $200 for this medication. And I went on Good RX
Oh,
and I
yes.
put the
I've seen the
medication
commercials for
in.
that.
I put the medication in and I saved $120 just by
Wow.
going to Good RX for the one 90-day refill. So
Mhm.
every time I refill that, we're talking a lot of money. So
Yeah.
all I'm saying is it's worth looking at other options besides your insurance, like this Good RX. It's very neat and clean. You put the
Wow.
prescription in and it tells you you can get the medication at CVS, Walgreens, like with a local pharmacy or whatever, at this price. And you get a coupon, you bring it to the store, to the pharmacist, and you get a very good price.
Wow.
So worth
But that's so important, you said, Otto, because obviously it's a topic that we've discussed numerous times. And depending on what medication people are on, and, it's the costs that go into these things, and it's just astronomical. So it's important to kind of do the research, because they said I've seen the commercials for that actually, and to know that that works is really nice. So that's a good topic, and we should actually look
Yeah,
into
it's
that
easy to
further.
use too. I mean, you don't have to go through a whole lot of hoop-de-doo. You just, the first screen is put in the medication. And you
Right.
put it in and it says, okay, I have no idea how it works.
But it's
That
okay. You don't
whole,
need to know.
well,
As
that
long as it
whole
does
world
work.
of pricing for medical and drugs is another planet
Yeah,
that
it's very
I do
difficult.
not know enough
Absolutely.
about.
And then we're actually having on, which is our yearly topic, because it's so important. We always have him on, is the fabulous Barry Klitzberg is actually
Yes.
going to be on. He'll be on October 1st on the radio program, talking about changes to Medicare 2022. And he breaks it down. He is so knowledgeable about it. I mean, I think we all know how, intense it is to kind of navigate your way through these things. So it's really great. He'll be on to talk about that. And then we have on the following week in October, we're having on a representative from Cornell Cooperative Extension, Nassau County. They do great nutrition programs, and they're going to be discussing mindful eating. And she'll give some great tips, which is wonderful. And then I think I scheduled another one, I did. On October 15th, we're having on, which is going to be very interesting, someone from the Nature Conservancy. She's going to be talking about different green initiatives and stuff we can do, and what their program is all about. So quite the variety of stuff we have going on, Otto. And I'm I'm in the works of figuring out some other, but I want to remind anybody that is listening, if you have a topic or a guest or someone you know or someone you met on the street, that is just filled with great information that could, help the community, and not just seniors, but anyone in the community, please call 311 or 869-6311, because I think those are some of the best guests we get.
I'm calling.
Oh,
What would be a topic that is going to be, I think, heating up more as time marches on, is cannabis. And I know the town has a committee, which Wayne Wink is in charge of,
Yes.
I understand.
Mhm.
And there are some people, volunteers, who are members of that committee. That would be a good target as a topic, I think. Like there's a lot of things connected to that. Like, how do you explain to a kid that cannabis is okay, or you smell it or whatever? There's a whole lot of stuff involved with this. I think it's a whole new arena that people, maybe I think it's going to be new to a lot of people.
Yeah, I listen. And I think it's important to understand it fully, because I think everyone kind of has their, views on and whatnot on certain things. And, that would be a great idea to get the full picture about kind of how these things work and what the plan is, especially within North Hempstead. So I will definitely reach out, once that group starts getting, rolling. I'd like to have them definitely have some representative on. I think that would be great, Otto. So I wrote down your suggestion. I like that you took my advice with your suggestion and it is fully written down now.
Well, I
so.
called.
There you go. You called. You see, that's right. You did a virtual call right into me, and that was wonderful. But other programs that we're trying to work on, what the Roslyn Community Center is doing, our social worker and nurse that's over there are in October trying to launch. They're going to be doing a little kind of bingo thing, but it's called Golden Hearts Bingo. And on top of that, the nurse will be providing blood pressure screenings and health counseling. So we've done that in the past, pre-COVID. Those are really successful things because a lot of people would come for either a senior group meeting or a bingo or whatever it might be. But the fact that they can sit with the nurse and the social worker to go over stuff too. After that, it's kind of a one-stop shopping. So you're having some fun and you're getting some education and your blood pressure checked, which is wonderful. So that is going to kick off in October, God willing. We'll always put that little disclaimer there. We're doing that. The social discussion group is still currently meeting via, they're more comfortable, that group, in meeting via Zoom still. And that's what I want to stress to people. I think a lot of people have different feelings and some are more hesitant than others, and that's all okay. And we're trying to find ways to kind of make everyone happy and find the right kind of balance and safety, obviously, for everyone, because the men's group that we have, they want to start meeting in person. So we're kind of trying to look for a space for them that is more suitable, and safe, obviously. So stay tuned for all those different things because there's going to be a bunch of different programming we're trying to do. You have a question?
Talking positive, a little golden nugget. Last week, we had the advisory committee Zoom call. Was it last week or week before?
Yeah, I think it was the week before, yes.
Week before. But one of the things that came out of that, Joanne Tricarico and Andrea were on, and they said that one of the ideas that they learned about staying positive is they had some people that actually on a daily basis make a little note and write what gave them joy that day as a means of trying to think about the positives in your life. I thought that was a nice little golden nugget, if you will.
I, of course, as we all know, I follow all kinds of things on social media, and that's such a tip that so many different, kind of mindful positivity pages do, because it's something that's very simple to do, and it makes you actively have to switch your brain to think, and it can be something super small. It doesn't have to be any grandiose, kind of thing that brought you joy. It could be the littlest thing. And it's really wonderful. And I think it's nice too, to have that all, especially if you're writing it in the same place, and then at the end of it, you have this kind of thing. And it's a reminder, I think even my own self, when you're kind of in this anxious state or this worry, whatever it might be, or upset, to kind of look back on something that did bring you joy is certainly important to do. So I agree, Otto. I like that little tidbit that they shared.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you just have to back off. Like we all get caught up, and I'll admit that I do too.
Of course.
You get caught up in this problem, that problem, and sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, and you kind of have to regroup. And this is a good way to regroup.
No, you're certainly right. And I think listen, we talk about this all the time. Also, it's a common theme on the show is we're in a time of kind of a state of influx. You're getting so much information from so many different things. Everything is contradicting one another, essentially. So it can be very overwhelming and bog you down. It gets very heavy. So it's something. And I always think of you, Otto, because we always say it's a lot easier to walk around, complaining, woe is me, but to actively switch your brain to focus on something positive or to do something and make a change, for the body. It takes work, right? Like we're not saying it's easy thing to do. But in the long run, I think you're kind of training your brain to do those things, and it certainly shifts your way of thinking. And I'm a firm believer in that, and it's not easy to do, but I think, when you do, you actually see the change. So I definitely think that's an important thing, Otto. And you are certainly a shining example of that, my friend. So
Yeah, well, believe me, I work at it. It's not
Yeah,
like,
but
when you're born, they say, okay, inject the positive juice. Some people have that,
it'd be
uh,
great.
you know, yeah, but like I always like to tell people when we're born, there's no application that you fill out that says what you look like, what your attitude's going to be, what your personality is, what the skin color is going to be. Then nobody gets asked, all right?
I
You
know.
kind of get what you get. And, people have to keep that in mind when it comes to judging other people as well. Some,
Absolutely.
people have what they have and, you got to accept that.
You're right, my friend. And I think it's all about reframing, right? You always hear that buzzword kind of in different things is reframing, a situation to kind of spin it in kind of a learning experience or a positive or what might. So I think that that's something that's kind of important to do too. So it's a lot. It's an ongoing thing. Everyone's entitled to having bad days, but you do what you do. But we have to take another break. You are listening to Community Talk Radio, on Project Independence and You on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org, and we will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I am Kristina Liu, producer/host for the last two segments. I'm here with Otto Los, and we are just catching up on all things North Hempstead and what's going on. And it's crazy that we're talking about fall programming because it seems like just last week we were talking about summer programming, and we're just kind of flying through. But I want to remind people that this weekend you are able to get the last of the season is the North Hempstead Popular Drive-In Movie Series. We'll be having one on Sunday, August 29th at 8:30 p.m. It is a movie Up, which is this little cartoon movie, which I really recommend the message of it. I can't remember if it's Disney or Pixar. I'm not sure which one it was. But it's a very emotional movie, Up. I have actually seen it, but the message is very inspirational. So that is over at North Hempstead Beach Park. The event is free, but they do encourage you to bring some donations, non-perishable or canned foods for the North Hempstead Food Drive, which is really is nice. They did that last year too, and they got a lot of success with that. So that is it. And there are restrooms are available. Otto, I knew that was the next question you were going to be asked. You were able to use
Very
the restroom.
important. Always important.
But also, I want people to know
It's a
that
senior thing.
it's an every person thing. Let's be real. That's a very hot topic for myself. And just knowing if I can't, then I really just become even more obsessed. So
That's an uncomfortable feeling when
it is. I'll tell you.
You don't know what.
That could be a whole talk in itself, Otto.
It could be pre-planning.
But the Memorial Day fireworks, I don't know if anyone remembers, had to be canceled because of weather. So they were rescheduled to Labor Day. So that is exciting because we have something to look forward to. So on Saturday, September 4th, over at North Hempstead Beach Park, there is going to be the fireworks extravaganza. The park will open at 3 p.m. The event itself, though, kicks off at 6 p.m. There's going to be musical performances at 6:30, and the fireworks display begins at 8:15 p.m. Vehicles are charged $10 in cash is the parking fee. You are not allowed to walk in or drop off. It's only for North Hempstead residents. They're encouraged to bring your own snacks. There will be some things. Food and refreshments will not be available for purchase, but you're allowed to bring your own snacks. So I just want to, and bring a chair too, because it's a long day. But it should be, hopefully the weekend will be a nice sunny weekend. We never know these days. So hopefully it is. And this can happen. So that is the Labor Day weekend fireworks on Saturday, September 4th. I want everyone to definitely check that out. The senior walking hours are still available over at North Hempstead Beach Park. They are early. And I really want to encourage people to get out there, especially, hopefully they'll continue this, into the fall when the weather gets a little cooler. I know it's been a little humid, so it's kind of unbearable, but when you're by the water, it's certainly nice. So that is
It's a nice walk.
yeah, it's a nice, and it's peaceful, and it's not crowded. And I really encourage people to get out there and do that, and to take advantage of the beautiful things that North Hempstead has to offer, which is really, really nice. So check that out. Get out there. Otto, are you still doing your Jones Beach walks with the family?
I am. We did not do it this past Sunday because of Hanra, the
Yes.
theoretical hurricane.
Right.
But it was raining enough that no, we did not do it. Normally we do walk if it's raining a little.
I've
this was
seen
a
you.
little
I've
more
seen
than
on
a little.
Facebook. I've seen the family
Yeah.
out with their little poncho rain jackets, plowing through. So
It's interesting. It's been a good family together thing. It's like cousins of a younger age, and one cousin who's a little more in my age bracket. And we get like 8 to 10 people every Sunday morning. And part of it is the little bit of camaraderie after we walk. We sit around and yap a little bit, and that's a good part. And the walking, Jones Beach is really quite a place. I mean,
it really
stacks
is.
up there. It stacks up there with any of the places in this country. Now, especially, they've got all kinds of new things there.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're not really being used that much yet, in my opinion. They got the zip line and pickleball and all kinds of courts and cornhole.
There's so many different courts. When I went there with my husband and we walked, I was so impressed because everywhere you turn, there's some kind of different court, and they're new. And I mean, the boardwalk itself is just completely beautifully
great.
done.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And it's a comfortable walk, which is nice. So.
Well, we walk, my cousin and I, the older cousin, we walk. He has a little bit of a problem walking, so I sometimes stay with him. And we'll go all the way, maybe a couple of miles, and then cut down to the beach and walk back along the beach, which is a lot harder to walk because you're walking in the sand. But it's just nice. It's great. Beautiful park. Like we buy a pass at the beginning of the year for $80, and you get in for free for the whole year. It's a cheap sport.
No, and I think, as you say, I'm like sitting here thinking it's such a lovely thing, obviously if you are able to, but I think that's important too for people, even if you can't, necessarily walk, the full thing, everyone's got their own kind of gauge of things, but, any kind of exercise we always say is better than nothing, and you're getting out there. Number one, I'm a firm believer in getting some good sunshine in you, obviously wear protective stuff, but, to get that in changes your mood, and the fact that you do it with your family and it provides you time to have kind of a catch up, and you're outside, so there's a level of safety too, you don't feel as anxious as you might in an indoor kind of activity now. And I think it's just such a nice thing to do. And I just went with my my parents and my husband. We went to Montauk. We always do every year for a couple of days, just the four of us, and my friend Tony came down to meet us. But my mom has some problems with her hips, and so walking on the beach, it's difficult, as we know. It's not as easy as walking on like a flat thing. So, and especially Montauk, you're kind of walking a long way to get to your seats. But what she's found, which I think is such a great, the past couple of years now, she has these kind of like walking sticks that almost look like ski poles, and it takes such pressure off her hips, and makes it, an easier walk. So it's like, there are these little kind of adaptive things you can do, to still do the task, which I think is really wonderful to look into. Don't necessarily throw in the towel, immediately. There's little things you can kind of do to do that. So,
you bring up a very interesting topic, because there are a lot of people that would like to be able to walk, but between knees and hips and backs and feet and all shoulder
it's
muscles,
hard, right?
all the
Of
other
course.
stuff, it is hard. And maybe, I don't know what the answer is. If you have severe pain, you probably have to try to do some chair stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where you do moving around a little bit at
Mhm.
least. Because you really have to keep moving.
That's, and you're right, because that's the tricky thing, right? Is that you have all these pains, so it makes it painful to do an activity, but then you're not doing the activity, so then it's feeding into the pain. It's like this vicious cycle. And I think it's really, and obviously you must consult your doctor first and foremost. Obviously, everyone's got different conditions and whatnot. But I think, for the average person, just the littlest thing, and I mean, you'll hear it on anything. I always think of your friend Otto who couldn't, and would walk around the dining room table. That always stuck with me because, it's any activity is better than no activity. And I think once you kind of get into the groove, maybe you're able to do a little more, gradually, and I think that that's important. And that's what I love about the PI exercise classes being on the television, because you're in the comfortability, of your home. You can kind of go at your pace, if it's too much for you, you could just stop, and I think that, some people in person kind of get uncomfortable and feel judged. Other people are looking at you and you're not doing it correct, so there's so much pressure that goes around that, especially if you have issues. So I think that it's my whole thing is any little thing that you can do or add to your day goes a long way. I've seen people, take an orange and, like lift it, and just move it around, so it's something little. I mean, you're not going to be, a giant muscle person, but I think
Well,
it's an activity.
well, the Jones Beach thing, I mean, I could tell you I should take pictures, but I don't want to. But there are people who walk, who I give them an A+. They're far from
Mm-hmm.
in great physical condition,
Right.
but they are giving it a shot.
Yes.
They're trying.
Mm-hmm.
And, even if you don't walk very far,
Yeah.
you don't have to do 2 miles or 4 miles or whatever. You do a couple 100 feet, maybe.
No, and I
That's
think,
an accomplishment.
I've always listened. I'm not one to go to a gym. I say this all the time. I have hope sometimes but I'm just never going to be that person, right? It's never my thing. And now forget it. You're not catching me in a gym. But I've always been the girl who loves, I'll walk forever in a pretty scene. You give me flowers, you give me stuff to look at, I could walk around forever. So I think, it makes it more fun and passes the time, and especially as you were saying with a Jones Beach thing or like a North Hempstead Beach Park, you have a beautiful scenery, you have fresh air, and I think it's all kind of feeds into your mental health. And like we said, you can just do it a little bit, North Hempstead Beach Park, and I think Jones Beach actually has them now too, or those like mats that are rolled out on the sand for
Yes.
wheelchairs or walkers or whatnot. And I
Yes,
think
they do.
I think that's such an amazing thing because it really works so wonderfully, and then it's those little things that can open the world to you being able to do that, which I think is amazing. So,
Well, I'm in your camp in the sense that I'm not really a gym person either. The way, and everybody, some people love the
yeah,
gym.
I wish.
I'm not knocking it.
No, I'm
just
jealous
saying,
that I'm not one of those people.
yeah, both of them require a discipline of some kind.
Hmm.
Either you're going to go to the gym or you're not going to go to the gym and you're going to do something.
Hmm.
Me, I choose not to go to the gym and do something.
Yeah.
Because my attitude is by the time I get to the gym, I could have had a half an hour walk. That's me. But the bottom line is everybody's who they are,
Yeah.
and you do what you can. If it means lifting a 1-pound orange,
Mhm.
and that's going to be what you do, that's good. Do it. Better than doing nothing.
No, and it's so important too, because especially with these, we talk about fall prevention all the time, and I'm excited to have that woman on because it's so important, these exercising and building your kind of core, not just to lose weight and feel fit or whatnot, but really just to have that strength, and when you have that kind of grounded strength, you're less likely to fall. I mean, we've all heard the horror story about, blah, blah, blah fell and she broke her hip and went to the hospital. And then, we all know what happened. So it's so important to really kind of build that. And I think especially with the weather, the fall and the winter coming, it's even more important. So we will be preaching that forever. And Otto, I can't believe we are at the end of the show. I think we've given a lot of great tips. It has been great to be with everyone. And then we have next week, we are not here. It is we wish everyone a happy Labor Day and enjoy, Otto. And thank you for being with me. And I want to thank the whole team, of course. And that is us, Project Independence and you on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. And it's a wrap.